Hello. Today, we're going to watch a few TikToks about dating and relationships, and then dive into one of the most chaotic comment sections I've seen in a long time. Let's begin.
Being a fat person in the dating world is so fucking dehumanizing. Let's tell a little story, shall we? I go to the bar with my friend. We're having a great night. I look so friggin' hot. You don't even know. You don't even know how hot I looked. There's pictures and video from that night, but you don't even know, okay? Anyways, there's this guy there. We start chatting it up. We're having a nice chat. We have some shots together. It's a good night. Things are going well. We're talking, and it's clearly a me and him conversation. My friends, they join in and they try to bridge the gaps in the conversation every once in a while, but they're on a rotation, I stay there the whole night and they're going in between other tables and the bathroom. My skinniest friend, she comes in and she joins the conversation, all my friends are on a rotation. And, she touches him a couple times, but basically she's just talking about her partner and the person that she's currently seeing. It's fine. He flirts with me so much more. We have so many shoulder touches, blah, blah, blah. She's not being a good wing woman, but she's clearly being very obvious that she is not available. The night takes us places. We're running down alleys. We're trying to find our friends. It's one of those kind of chaotic nights. But throughout all of this, I'm there with this guy, talking, being like, what's everyone doing? Why are they insane? And bonding over our shared career goals. We have the same field of interest, so much in common. So I'm thinking, wow, this is a chance. This is a real person that I maybe like. No. No. This man proceeds to ask me what the deal is with my skinny friend. What? He's like, oh, she's pretty cool. She doesn't even live here. Of course, this is fucking heart-shattering to me, because I'm like, wow, I really thought that this was going somewhere. I really thought it. But no, a skinny friend shows absolutely zero interest in a man, and that's the one that he sees. I found out later that he asked my other friends about her too. So, moral of the story is, it's fucking difficult to be fat. I haven't tried losing weight. Maybe I should give that one a go.
While she contemplates that, let's do a quick recap of the video. So she meets a guy in a bar when she's out with her friends. They proceed to talk all evening, and at the end of the night, he shows interest in one of her skinny friends instead of her. How is that dehumanizing? That's disappointing if you were interested in him, which you clearly were, but dehumanizing? He conversed with you and kept you company all night. It's not his fault that you mistook his kindness for flirting and romantic interest. But then we have this TikTok, which stitched that video.
Proceeds to ask me what the deal is with my skinny friends.
No, but watch this full woman's story about not being considered an option by a man that she spent all night with, chatting about their shared interests, and he still asked about her thin friend at the end of the night. I've been in so many situations, at parties, or where there's a lot of straight guys, whether they're friends of friends, or friends of a friend's boyfriend, and I'll watch them have conversations with every other woman in the room, but they literally will not look me in the eye. They don't want me to mistake their kindness for interest. Fat women are not only not seen as an option, we're not even seen as worthy of a conversation. Yo. And it's even worse when you feel it from women. Women will meet some guy and they'll be like, oh, I really want to set, a friend up with him. He's so kind. He's so nice. No one has ever tried to set me up with their single friend. And I know it's because they know I'm not an option either. They know the dude's not going to go for it either.
So I understand the underlying message of this TikTok, which is people, particularly men, should be nice to everyone, even if they're not physically attracted to them. But it's weird that she stitched the original video to this TikTok, because in that video, a man talked to a woman that he didn't seem to be physically or romantically interested in all night. But in this video, she's complaining that men don't do that and that they don't converse with women they don't find attractive in social settings. You stitched a video where the exact opposite of what you're complaining about happened. So this TikTok wasn't anything too crazy, but this creator gets spicy in the comment section. And she says some stuff that is way wilder than anything she said in this video. One commenter says, so because they connected, it had to be romantic? Couldn't it just be a friendly connection? Lizzie, who is the creator from that TikTok, said, appearance is the difference. and the preference for thin versus fat is based in capitalistic beauty standards, etc., etc. I'm a broken record now. Someone replied, sorry, but physical attraction is important for hooking up or relationships. Lizzie replies, but why was he interested in her thin friend who he hadn't learned about all night, but had no interest romantically after hitting it off with her? Maybe because he wasn't physically attracted to her? Someone else replies, but maybe for him it was just friendly banter. I mean, even though it's sad that bigger women don't get as much attention in regards to men, everyone is entitled to their preference. And Lizzie says, honey, you're thin and about 16. Experience some more life and then let's chat. Oh, okay. Spoiler alert. This woman is in her 30s, telling a teenager on a social media app that her opinion has no weight because she hasn't experienced enough life yet. So what's the cutoff, Lizzie? At what age is someone old enough and fat enough for their TikTok comments to be worth anything to you? Even if you disagree, why are you using someone's age as a reason to discount them? Especially if you are double this woman's age. Maybe come up with a better argument than, I've exhaled twice the amount of carbon in my life as you have, so I know better. My carbon emissions could eat your carbon emissions for breakfast, which makes my opinions superior. And that's how I know that having height preferences in dating is misogynistic. Now you might be thinking, she didn't say that. Yes, she did. Right here. Someone asked, is it short phobic if you want to date someone tall? And Lizzie replies, not short phobia, but certainly misogyny feeds into that. Yeah. What? So women who want to date tall men are being misogynistic. No explanation? All right, cool. Another comment says, preference, simple as that. She replies, I'm bored of simpletons. That same person replies, it's still a preference. How is it not? Lizzie replies, preferences are based in societal biases, fatphobia, racism, etc. Did you even watch my video? Bye. I did watch the video, and racism was never mentioned. And neither were biases, actually, only in the most general sense. I'm convinced that she said this just to get the 12 people that liked the previous comment to watch the video over again. She's just trying to get those views by saying that stuff was in the video that was definitely not in the video. Another comment asks again, is it bad to have a height preference? And her reply is, if you won't date short people, then yeah, you may want to look at why you have that preference. Shallow. That person replies, so you have no preferences at all when it comes to dating? And with that logic, it's impossible to have a preference without hurting someone's feelings. Lizzie replies, you do you. My suggestion here is to consider why something is attractive or unattractive to you. Thanks for visiting my page and goodbye. Oh. Hi. I know you bid me adieu in that TikTok comment, but I'd like to point out that I asked if you had any preferences, and you slammed the door in my face before ever answering. So, can I have an answer? This woman reminds me of scammers that try to draw people in by saying things like, you can make 5 figures a month with this job or this opportunity. And then when you question the validity of the job and ask if they make 5 figures a month, they give you some sanctimonious speech about how I should do some introspection after rudely questioning the job they're offering without ever answering the question, do you make 5 figures a month? And they do that because they're obviously full of it and trying to scam you. And this woman seems like she's doing the same thing. She goes off in these comments about how all preferences are bad and they're based in biases, but then someone asks the most basic question to her, do you have any preferences? And her response is basically, why would you ask me that? You should do some introspection and focus on yourself. Good day to you. This next comment says, being attracted to someone who is thinner isn't fat phobia. Lizzie replies, def not. The point is, not being attracted to fat people, despite not knowing them, is fat phobia. That's literally how physical preferences work. It means I know what I am more or less attracted to without seeing an individual person in front of me. If I'm not attracted to men with tattoos, I can probably tell you before I even see a tattooed man in front of me that I'm not attracted to him. That's how attraction works. I don't have to see and interact with every tattooed man in the world to know that I'm not attracted to tattoos. Does that make me tattoo phobic? Am I unrightfully discriminating against people with tattoos? This next comment says, but at the end of the day, attraction is still important. You can have a good time and still only be interested in friendship. This is in reference to the first TikTok I showed. Lizzie replies, not having an attraction for fat people or disabled people, people of color, etc. is based in misogyny, racism, ableism, etc. Okay, now we've brought disabled people into this for no reason. Why? There was no mention of disabled people or people of color in the original 2 videos, but in the response, she has to mention racism and disabled people. Another reply says, can we say the same thing about women not wanting to date short men? And Lizzie replies, yes, the rejection of short men is based in misogyny. Okay, another mention of height preferences being misogynistic with no explanation. Another reply about the original story says, okay, but he was attracted to her. He spent all night talking to her. He was embarrassed and insecure about it, so he went for someone he knew nothing about. Just because someone talks to you, that doesn't mean they're attracted to you. Wasn't that the point of this second TikTok? This woman saying that men could at least be kind to her if they're not attracted to her? But then a guy does that, and he's apparently leading her on? And the creator didn't write this comment, but she did like this comment. So she agrees that the guy in the first story was obviously attracted to that woman, but was just too embarrassed about being attracted to a fat girl, so he pretended to be interested in her friend to save face. Girl, you can't make videos asking men to be friendly to women, even if he doesn't find her attractive, but then get upset when those same men do that and still don't find her attractive. The reply continues, or he was always using her as an in and was completely wasting her time to treat her like shit. That's also wrong. That man didn't waste her time. There was no expectation of romantic interest from the beginning. They were just talking during a night out. And he also didn't treat her like crap. He did exactly what the woman in this TikTok claims she wants. He was being nice to a woman that he wasn't attracted to. And I also want to say this. Maddie, the woman who went out partying that night and talked to the guy all evening, says that they really connected on a lot of topics and that he was very flirty towards her. But she was clearly interested in him and very positive and hopeful about the situation, which could have influenced how she interpreted their interactions. And we only got her side of the story. There's a whole other perspective from his point of view of what happened that night, which could be a little bit or a lot different than the story she's telling about that night. So it's easy for the people in the comments to say that it was obvious that he was attracted to her, it was obvious he was flirting with her, having only heard her side of the story. But keep in mind that we don't know his perspective, and we've all been in situations where we were overly hopeful, and that caused us to see a situation through rose-tinted glasses, so we end up misreading what is going on. Another reply says, his approach was having a conversation with a person who felt offended that he wasn't interested in her. Listen to the video. You're internalizing this. Exactly. His approach was perfectly fine. But this thread continues. Another woman says, girly, as a fellow fat woman, preferences exist, and they're just that, preferences. I don't date short or skinny men. What kind of ism is that? And Lizzie replies, shallowism? Another person replies, not wanting to date a fat person isn't based or related to any of that. They just aren't attracted to it. Lizzie replies, what do you think your attractions are based in? Where do you think you learned what to be attracted to? Lizzie, I don't know where all of my attractions come from, but I do have a real question. This woman up here said that she's fat and that she isn't attracted to skinny men. Where does her attraction to fat men come from? You seem to have the opinion that all preferences are bad and come from negative biases like fat phobia, racism, ableism, and beauty standards, but an attraction to fat men doesn't fit any of those categories. In fact, it defies a lot of those categories. So where did her attraction to fat men come from, and what negative bias does she have to unpack so that she no longer has that shallow preference? Another comment asks, why is it misogynistic to be attracted to tall men? And Lizzie says, because it's manly to be big and tall, and feminine to be petite compared to your partner. Okay, y'all. We've finally got an answer as to why women preferring tall men as partners is misogynistic. If not wanting short men is misogynistic because being short is a female trait, does that mean men who reject women for being too tall, which does happen often, are being misandrists? Misandry is a dislike or prejudice against men. So if a man rejects a woman for being tall because being tall is a manly trait, and if a woman has it, then she's unattractive, so that man is then showing hatred for men. Or is that man not being a misandrist, but instead experiencing internalized misogyny as a man because he doesn't like the female trait he has, which is being short, so he doesn't want a tall woman nearby to exacerbate his male internalized misogyny? Also, does this mean that the women who reject short men are being misogynistic towards themselves? Is it internalized misogyny? Because they're not being misogynistic towards the men, right? Because they're men. They don't experience misogyny. Y'all, I am confused. What kind of sense does this make? I'm done. I can't think about this anymore. Another comment says, are they supposed to pretend that they're sexually attracted to you? I thought attraction isn't something you can change. Lizzie says, if you take the time to consider why you have certain attractions, you can evolve and change. What if I evaluate my attractions and come to the conclusion that I like my preferences, so I don't see a reason to change them? Is that okay? Or is it only okay if I come to the conclusion that all my preferences are bad? Another comment says, how is this different than the girl choosing the hotter, fitter, or taller guy? It goes both ways. And she replies, it's not different. This commentary is about how attraction and acting on it is often based in societal pressures like fat phobia, racism, etc. Racism again? Racism was not mentioned at all in either of the TikToks in this video. None of the comments have mentioned racism. Both women in the story were white, and yet Lizzie has brought up racism no less than 3 times at this point. Why? Oh, and we got another one. Yes, that attraction has fatphobic, racist, etc. biases. And again, someone comments, girl, your video is fine, but why are your comments shaming people for having preferences as if it's not totally natural? And she says, preferences are obviously a thing, but evolved people think about their preferences and dismantle the ones based in personal insecurities, racism, etc. She just keeps bringing up racism. And she even had to explicitly state at some point that whiteness equals attractive to really drive home her point. And I know she didn't actually mean that whiteness is attractive, but constantly bringing up how unattractive non-white people are often perceived when nobody asked and it has no relevance on what you're talking about seems way more offensive than the supposed allyship she's showing by constantly harping on how non-white people are seen as unattractive. And she also said that people who are evolved dismantle their preferences. This entire comment gives me edgy teenage boy vibes. Like, he struggles to date and interact with women, but his rationale is, I'm just too evolved for any of these girls. They're just not on my level. I'm just so far past the level of awesome that they could even understand with their tiny, unevolved brains. I also fully agree with this comment because I didn't think the original video was that bad. It was contradictory in that she was saying that men should be kind to everyone, whether or not they're attracted, but she stitched a video where a man did exactly that. But overall, I don't think the TikTok was that crazy. But these comments are something else. There's also this comment that I need to read for you. It says, men never take into account how sharing their feelings affects all the other people around them. There's a lot that could be said about this comment that I don't have time or the ability to break down in this video, not least of which is them putting sharing their feelings in quotations, which I have questions about. But I really just needed y'all to know that this comment exists, and I would like a discussion of what this comment means in my comment section. This next comment says, hear me out, but if it's such an issue, why not try to lose the weight? Lizzie says, because I'm not interested in dating men who have a weight preference. Why did you make a video complaining that you're not considered an option because of your size if those men that you're complaining about aren't an option for you? This next comment says, maybe change then. Oh wait, not an option. Crying about the whole world is much easier. Lizzie says, why would I want to change my physical being for people who are too shallow and dense to realize their attractions are based in biases? Everyone's attractions and preferences are biased. And if you don't care about men having a preference for smaller women, why are you complaining about not being an option? If those men are too shallow and dense and unevolved for you, then it seems like you're not missing out on much by not being considered. The summary I got in these very chaotic comments seems to be, I don't need to accommodate the preferences of people I could potentially date. They need to evolve enough so that their preferences accommodate me as I am. And that's just not how the world works. This comment says it best. Yep, people's standards are rough. You can be right for a person, but if they're not attracted to you, it's over. I hope you heal from the trauma. Exactly this. It sucks not being considered an option by most people as a romantic option, but that's not the world's problem. It's not the world's job to evolve and introspect and change so that they can then be attracted to you. But yeah, that's it for the interesting comments. Overall, I don't think the guy in the original story did anything wrong. The most egregious thing he did was showing interest in a woman who seemed to already have a partner. That seems like he's setting himself up for rejection. But aside from that, he was just nice to a woman that he wasn't attracted to, and she seemed to interpret their interactions incorrectly. But what we've learned from these videos, being nice to a fat woman you are not attracted to is leading her on. Not talking to a fat woman you're not attracted to is mean. So your only real option is to be attracted to fat women. That's it. That's the conclusion we've come to, which is a bad conclusion. Nobody owes you a romantic or sexual relationship at all. People can be not attracted to you for any reason, including your body size, and it sucks, but it's just something you have to deal with. It's not the world's problem to change to accommodate you. And also, let's take note of how many times racism was mentioned in a video that had nothing to do with racism and was about the stories and experiences of two white women. I also don't think that should be ignored from this entire situation because it's weird. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one.